Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOML, a year of magical learning. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button and hit the bells. And we here almost Monday to Thursday. And Chris just said, today is a special day, and now let him tell you why.
It's a very special day. So I actually this particular book, we're on book number 84 today, and it's it's a book called Eager, The Surprising Secret Life of Beavers and Why They Matter by the author Ben Goldfarb. And the reason why this is a special day is actually, I don't know if you remember this, but it was about this time when I was writing book 84, and we were talking about it. We were sharing our own thoughts on. I was sharing the reflection with you, and we talked ad nauseum about a beaver must dam, and stuff that we'll dive into in a second here. But This is really kind of the genesis of the podcast, starting for what we were doing, because we were like, this is kind of fun, just talking about the reflections of the books and stuff like that, and sharing these things. And lo and behold, when we got to just a couple weeks after that I wrote this one, I think is when we did our first podcast recording, and decided to go try this out every single night. So this book is meaningful in that regard of I don't know about you, but I felt like this was one of the most memorable conversations that we've had in general about a beaver must dam, a painter must paint, and we'll get into all that in a second. But it was I don't know, it just felt like the next evolution of the compound effect of
I think this book kind of like tells the story pretty well in terms of our journey.
I agree. So I'm excited to talk about it. But yeah, I just wanted to kick that off before we started there. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get into it. So the title is the reflection title of this one is A Beaver Must Dam, Let People Live Their Purpose. So first off, if you never read this book before, never even heard of a beaver, or I'm sure you've all heard of a beaver, but you never really thought of a beaver or anything like that. Like, I swear to you, I was blown away by like all the impact that beavers have on our ecosystem and the world that we live, especially around like the Northwest, and like the Pacific Northwest, and like the Great Plains, and like California, and the West in general. Like beavers basically are the reason why there's droughts going on. From what I understand in this book, after this book, like, I mean, when we took the beavers off the playing field and tried to run our own irrigation and stuff like that, like the beavers just know what they're doing. They know how to keep things going, and they're in a vital important part of the ecosystem of getting water to where it needs to go to, and water storage and water tables, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I had no idea. I mean, I don't know about you, but did you know anything about beavers, like in general, of like how important they are?
I didn't know the impact they made, but I know that beaver it's close in terms of what you call a hedgehog. So it's very
it's a rodent.
Not in terms of its type, but it's a characteristic. I mean, it does what it does, and it's relentless in trying to do what it needs to do.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, you're talking about the fox and the hedgehog. Yeah, beavers definitely have the hedgehog complex down.
Exactly. Yes.
But yeah, personally, I was blown away by learning about beavers in general, and like the impact they have. I had no idea, honestly. I mean, I'm a big fan of these little tiny rodents now. They're a big friend of ours in general, and as humans, and yeah, I don't know, I was pretty blown away by it. But as you can see here in the second paragraph, my co-founder, True, obviously you have a saying that you say all the time, and you've been saying it all the time
and I will keep saying
forever. Right. You always say, a painter must paint, right? And I kind of knew what you meant. Obviously I know what you mean by a painter must paint, and you say it all the time. But like, after reading this book, like, it just opened my eyes to see it completely a little bit different. Like, these beavers, they have no choice. They must dam, and I don't know why, but these guys, they need a dam. Like, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, but that's the point, right? Like, it's not supposed to make sense to me why they have this innate purpose and drive to go drive, to go build a dam. And I jokingly wrote in the reflection, like, maybe they had their own I Can't Imagine event, where as a species, maybe there was a huge drought or something like that one time where it left them all with no water, and a lot of them died. And maybe one beaver was like, guys, if we just really hone our skills to dam these rivers, like, and we can make sure that we always have water forever, or whatever. Like, I don't know. And, and then for whatever reason that took hold, and, that's how beavers, ended up damming all the time. I have no idea. And I honestly, I don't really care. I'm just kind of joking, but at the end of the day, like, that's the power of purpose. So like, it's like, they have this purpose, and I don't know where it came from. I don't know how it develops, but at the end of the day, like, that purpose, that mission that these beavers are on, they have an impact, that resonates far beyond whatever joy that they get out of what they do every single day. And the fun part about it is when you start to like open it up into more of a macro level, like, these beavers don't do it alone either. Everybody, every animal in that ecosystem has a role, whether it's the wolves that are hunting other animals that are drinking too much water, or the fish that are, the salmon that are jumping over the dams and living their purpose, or the trees that are anchoring, the sides of the river, so like the beavers can do their thing, or providing wood so the beavers can dam. Like, everybody has like a purpose. When you start to really back it up and start to see what's going on at a higher level, like, the purposes all start to overlap each other in this kind of beautiful, harmonious little way. And my thought from this whole entire experiment, when you say a painter must paint, I think, like, we as humans in general, I feel like we get in a lot of trouble a lot of times, because I feel like, for whatever reason, we feel like we should impose our purpose and our will on everybody else. And that's not right. You can't force your purpose on others. Like, no matter how hard you try, it's not going to happen. Like, it's not going to stick. And there's no point in trying. Your purpose is your own purpose, So our goal, I feel like, should be to understand other people's purposes, whether it be a fish, a beaver, a human, a tree, whatever it may be, and find ways to make that mutually beneficial so that we all thrive. So that's the reflection at a high level, and the lesson for the day of what I learned from Eager, the story of beavers. So yeah, we'll turn it over to you. Love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, so to me, I think, I want to catch the thought before it escapes me. But I think what you're saying, are you forcing your purpose on others? Right? I think, that is one part of it, but the other part of it is that you have to know your purpose.
Right.
Right. And a lot of time people don't. Right. That's, to me, it's something I keep wanting to repeat, just because we've got to the point where we take a lot of stuff for granted. We just follow whatever guide or path that was given to us, and we don't question whether whether this guy is valid or not. So we just take it without due diligence, meaning, am I convinced that this is good for me, or I just took it at face value? Because if I tell you something, right, and whatever, I said, it's really a good economy, right now, right, or whatever the case, or that a painter has a better life than a movie star or whatever. The thing, I can tell you anything I want, but if you keep taking what I say to you without questioning it, then you're doing yourself a disservice. So same thing with the purpose and what people do in life is, a lot of time we say, you go up, you go to school, you do good in school, you graduate, get a good job, you buy a house. So this is something that was told to you, but you never stop to question it, right? And the biggest part of having your purpose and having known your purpose is you have to find that out. And then after that is also, once you find your purpose, you live your purpose, then you understand about why you should not force your purpose on others, because other people have their own purpose as well.
Right.
And so in order for the ecosystem to be optimized, right, then you live your purpose, other people live their purpose, because you're talking about in the book, Eager, because it's the ecosystem. You're talking about the beaver is damming, it's doing its part in the ecosystem, and then the other animals, the wolf and whatever, they do their own part. Because the wolf, you don't expect the wolf to go and make dams, right? It just doesn't work. Yeah, and so that's the thing is, the beaver found their purpose, right? And they live their purpose. This is great.
Right.
But imagine if the beaver enforces the wolf or the deer or the other animals to do the damming as well.
Yeah.
So what happens to the ecosystem? It's just yeah, exactly. So same thing with human. It's you have to live your purpose and you do your part in an ecosystem and let other people live their purpose as well. But like I said, the first part is you got to find your purpose. You got to know what you do. And then second is you got to do what you do and then help others do theirs. Not like forcing your purpose on the head, Mr. Wolf, come and make my dance for me. No, that's my job. I'll do the damming. You do the, the woofing, whatever it is you do, right?
the wolf, yeah,
right,
exactly.
Right. And so to me, I think, this is the way nature works. Like, I'm a big believer in a beaver must dam, because I keep saying, a painter must paint, a writer must write, because I truly believe that our genetic makeup make us who we are. Okay, because we are uniquely a combinations of certain molecules, whatever. It makes us a unique person, unique entity, a unique organism, and that unique organism has a need. It's a need to do. It's compelled to do certain things because that's what's missing. Because without having that missing piece, you're always going to be chasing for. You always want to do that because that's going to make you feel complete for whatever reason. That's the way it works, right? And that's how human nature works. So if you are a beaver and you try to live in a desert, right, your life's going to be miserable. So I mean, you're going to have to do something anyway. Well, might as well do the things that is made for you, or was the missing piece for the part of the patterns in makeup of your DNA or your genes or whatever that is, right? And so that's the thing is, when you have the gene that needs to do something, but also has a gene to kind of give you the ability to do that, because you're talking about beaver has the ability to swim and to coat itself and whatever the case may be. They have all the advantages to do that particular purpose, particular job. So it's a win-win because it feels complete. It's looking for that missing thing it needs to do. It also has the characteristic that is advantages over the other animals, right? So you take the analogy of the beaver to the human society, it's gonna give you a better perspective, better view of it, just because it's hard to see these intangibles that we say, hey, what am I supposed to do? But we human, we can do a lot of things, yes, but that doesn't mean you should, right? For animals it's easy because they only have a certain things they can do. The other thing is either it's a hell yes or a hell no. Human is so adaptable that it's hard to find that. And so
you can do anything. I mean, you can, like, the thought that I keep having the whole entire time is like, we've talked about this before with the book about fungi, back in the day. God, what was that called? The Entangled Life. So the book, the Entangled Life, where we talked about we're the composers. That's our overarching. If beavers must dam, humans must create. But what you can create is endless. You can create whatever your heart's desire. So that's where the purpose is unique for humans, in my personal opinion, where it can be individualized. I don't know that every individual beaver has like their own damming methodology or whatever, or like function or role.
Right, I mean, because it's not so black and white for us,
right?
Because we have the adaptability gene, right? We can adapt, right? We can learn, right? And that's one of our strengths, but it's also becomes a weakness because you can say, well, I can learn how to do this, I can learn how to make it, I can force myself to be this person or do that person. But at the same time, because of that, you say, well, it works. So that means I must be made for this. So the thing is, when you don't have a clear cut answer, it's hard to choose, hey, is this what makes me whole? make me complete. Because if you have, I say you have energy, right? If you have energy, like you're very, let's say you're very healthy and you're very energetic, what do you have to do? You sit in bed and you do nothing, right?
Do something.
You're gonna have to do something. You're compelled to go do physical stuff. You're compelled to go punch a tree or whatever. You have the energy to burn. You will have to burn it. You cannot keep it, right? And then if you have
I mean, you can keep it, but it'll destroy you.
But think about it, you'll be suffering.
Yeah.
Have you ever trying to find a way to keep your toddler, or even a teenager or a child from sitting in one place? You can't.
Yeah, right.
Well,
you can. You can try, but it's gonna be there's gonna be a whole lot of pain for everybody involved.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, not without trying to trick it or trying to force it in any way. They have energy. They will need to burn it.
Right.
They will jump off the wall. That's why people say, kids will jump off the wall, right? They bounce off the wall just because that's the saying. They have to burn it. Right. And so, like I say, depending on the genetic makeup of your body, yourself, there is certain thing that needs to happen because you have it or don't have it. Right. And so, and to me, that's how nature works. So everyone has a unique genetic makeup. It makes you who you are. That means that you have a genetic need to do something. If you find that something, it's going to be, you're going to have the advantages of the characteristics and ability to do that thing, but it's also make you feel, to me, it's like fulfilling, a complete, or I mean, you're happy to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's not just happy. You just,
you find joy. You find joy in doing it. You find joy in doing it. That's what I'm saying. It's because the problem I have is a lot of times, like all these words that I'm trying to come up with, it's being bastardized so much that it become a cliches of something. You find happiness, or the thing is, I don't know what the word is, but I'm gonna find the thing that's closest to what I'm trying to say. Just like I keep saying, a painter must paint and a writer must write. At first, you don't know what I'm talking about, and say, okay, yeah. But then until you start to read some of these books, like this Beaver book, right? Then you understand a little bit more what I'm trying to say, right? The thought and the concept, it needs to be reflected upon for you to gain a higher level of understanding. So it's it's something with a lot of these words, like I'm not talking about the happiness. I'm talking about you are compelled to do, because if you don't, then for whatever reason, you feel a sense of suffering.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It hurts
because for example, like a snow dog, right? A snow dog, if you take them to like a hot, humid place like Houston, Texas, I mean, it's miserable, but it loves it when it's in the snow, right? Because its genetic makeup is to be in the cold climate, right? So it can live in a hot climate, but it's miserable.
I think of that just reminded me of my own dog. She's a Shetland sheepdog, and she she's a herder, right? Like that's what she was. That's her purpose, is to herd people. Like and when she can't do it, when we try to like lock her into a cage and tell her not to bark and tell her not to run, like I mean, it hurts her. I mean, you can physically see like it's like, why? This is what I'm supposed to do.
Mentally painful.
Right, she doesn't understand what but because everything in her being is like, I gotta herd you, I gotta get you to where you're supposed to be, because I know that you're supposed to be here, and that's my job, so
imagine you put a American eagle in a cage. What do you think is gonna happen to him?
I mean,
he doesn't live that long.
Yeah, right. Right.
For very
running with Sherman,
purposeful animals.
Yeah,
you put an environment that's not supposed to be, it doesn't last that long.
We haven't talked about running with Sherman yet. We'll get there, but that's the whole book about running with Sherman. Like he's the donkey that was trapped into a shed and never could run, and it killed his little hooves, and he was gonna die. Like when the donkey's hooves don't work, and they can't work, and they can't run, they can't walk. Like, I mean, they die. I mean, they literally die. Like they can't do their job anymore, you know,
Yes.
and they just expire. So that was how running with Sherman. That was how they got it back to purpose. Was let them go run and train, you know, give them the freedom to go do so, and give them some friends to go do it with. I mean, that's everything. Purpose is everything.
Right.
Yeah. And
along the same thought, you know, you think about it, if you know, the donkey is kind of like wasting away its life and it's dying, and then you basically revitalize him by giving him what he needs, and he lives longer, he gets healthy.
Yeah.
Man, translate that to
gets healthy. He thrives, you know.
He thrives, exactly. Right. So you think about that in terms of yourself and humanity, right? If you're not doing what you purposely needs to do, your purpose, then in essence, you're withering away as well. You don't live that long. But if you want to live long and healthy and fulfilling, right, then find a purpose. Find a purpose. You're going to be thriving just like a donkey does. Like I said, you know, you put an American eagle in a cage, it won't live that long, right? It just doesn't. I mean, it's very short. So I think the purpose would give you longevity, would give you the you know, like I said, you know, I don't know what the word is, but I want to use that word fulfilling for now. Be complete, you know, having enjoying the things that you do for it. And to me, that's what I meant by fulfilling and complete. And so a purpose is really something very, very vital to our way of life. And so don't neglect that. And because if you think about it, we spend so much time in our human years doing things we don't, you know, give a second thought about. You know, this is the way we're told, and this is the way we do it. We don't, you know, take the time. How much time before we start this, you know, this organization's company, that we stop to think about things we need to do and things we should be doing and things we do that's important to us? How many times have we done that
before?
Mm-hmm.
There's probably been a couple times in my life.
Exactly. Even for a couple of times,
but not for like a sustained period of time either.
That is not even that's not even you you know, close to being what it should be, right?
No,
it should be like you should think about
this should be higher education. This should be college. This should be higher education. This should be, you know, like finding your purpose. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's the most important thing to all of us. You know, like what you said a few minutes ago, like, is so important, you know, from what purpose can give you, right? As a human being, like, it can give you that fulfillment, that joy, that all those things you're talking about. But what the really cool thing that I think about purpose is what it can give to everybody else, right? Like when the Beaver does their thing, like other people can help. Right. It lifts everybody up, like, you know, yes. Like, and but when they do, and the other things do their thing because the Beaver does their thing, then that lifts everybody up even more. And then everybody lifts each other up and up and up and up and up, right? And it's this upward spiral, you know, of everybody finding their personal joy and fulfillment, but then collective joy and fulfillment, but then, you know, ecosystem joy and fulfillment, and then whatever else comes after that, I don't know. But, you know, it's like when you don't do those things, the ecosystem dies. You know, when you take the book talks a lot about like the, you know, beaver pelts were like very valued for a really long period of time because they're waterproof, right? You know, so Europe would, you know, these European settlers and things like that, they would hunt beaver all day long, and then they would ship them back over to Europe for, you know, so they could have
accessories,
pelts. I mean, like, so they could have waterproof coats in the London rain, I guess. I don't know, you know.
Right.
When they started to take, when you removed these beavers from these ecosystems just died. I mean, it didn't happen overnight, but slowly but surely you see 100 years later, and now you see like California and what they're going through every single year with these droughts and these wildfires and yada yada yada. These beavers played a vital role into those ecosystems, and when you eliminated them, like you completely you did a lot of damage, you know, but you don't see it initially, right? Like when you take away somebody's purpose, like you don't see that damage initially,
right?
And you don't even see the ecosystem's damage initially, but slowly but surely over time, you know, you'll see it. It'll eat away at you. It'll kill you, and it'll erode the entire ecosystem that was built around all these people.
It's just a trickle effect, right? You know. I mean, and that's the thing is the trickle effect is not obviously visible to the human eyes who are thinking short term.
Right.
And so, you know, a lot of times, you know, you don't see it until it's too late. By the time you see it, well, it's really not much you can do now. But you know, the impact of the thing that you do, if you do your job correctly, I mean, it make a huge difference in terms of the domino effect. It happens down the line, and you know, you're talking about like 30, 100 levels down. That's a huge impact you make. You know, like we're talking about the butterfly effect, right? You know, a butterfly, you know, kind of like flap with wings in India or whatever, create monsoon in the other half of the world, just because, you know, tiny effect accumulates,
right,
become big effect. And I think that's something that I think would be much more, I guess, to be more perceptive of it once you understand the first phase, which is understand yourself, understand your purpose, and then you will be able to see that your purpose actually create a huge impact on the rest of the things that you are connected to.
Exactly. And that's really the central thought of Clubany, you know, like that is our beautiful question, I guess, if you will, is what if you could create an environment where people could all be themselves and live their purpose, and what would come of that? How could you help each other? How would you build each other up, you know? And that's really what we're trying to do. I mean, at the end of the day, is to give people an opportunity, if they don't already have a purpose, to discover that, to figure out what's important to them, and to live that life, and then discover their purpose. But then B, if they do already have that, once they find that purpose, or if they already have that purpose, then give them an opportunity to go just do it, you know, and do the things that gives them joy. And then the reverberation, you know, from that of how it overlaps and you know, interacts with the other people within that ecosystem, like we'll figure that out as it goes. That'll be spontaneous. We won't understand it. Like we'll never understand how something develops, or how it, you know, what comes of Chris and True living their purpose every single day, and the things that the karma, I guess, if you will, and the actions in that ecosystem of how it impacts other people. But it'll impact them, and we'll all figure out a great way to do this stuff together, and it'll be really magical and special. And that's and it's with these ideas in mind, you know, you were starting to touch on this a little bit, but you know, the reason why the title says is, you know, everyone has a purpose. Let people live their purpose. I mean that. Like I don't want to, when I work at a company, like I have to go check my purpose and my values at the door. You know, like I'm being told, don't live your purpose, you know, like it's, and like, this is the problem, is we feel like maybe there's for some weird reason, maybe it's because humans do have that extra level of rationality or consciousness or whatever that other animals don't have, or something along those lines. For whatever reason, we feel like, you know, my purpose is better than your purpose, you know, and like, I'm going to say, you know what, True, like you need to live my purpose. You need to live for Amelia. You know what I mean? Like you need to do what I'm doing. No, that's not what you need to do. You need to do what you need to do. A painter must paint, a beaver must dam. Everybody needs to do their own thing and do it together, but don't impede each other. But also at the same time, like, you know, don't force, you know, let people do themselves, let people be themselves, but in a shared environment, you know, like that's the key to it all, right? Like, I mean,
just let a butterfly dam. Right. Butterfly, you must dam. Say, what?
Yeah, I love your.
I don't even know how to begin.
I agree. Well, you could. I mean, well, I know how humans did it. We just enslaved other humans, and we said, "Hey, you're gonna do this. Like, this is your purpose. Your purpose is to go build the pyramids. You know, like, you know, your purpose is to go, you know, pick cotton or whatever the hell it may be, right? And you know, I mean, like, that's wrong. Like, I mean,
you enslave them. You enslave them, you know, physically and mentally, and you know, that's that. I mean, it's modern slavery now. It's just you enslave people mentally.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, like that will never work. It will never work. Like slavery doesn't work. Like, you know, trapping people in companies and jobs that strip their purpose and their values, it doesn't work. It'll never work. That purpose will never go away because a beaver must dam, right? You know, a painter must paint. Like it's never going to leave. What I need to do and express in this world is never going to change. And unless I find this magical world of a company that already, you know, exists that happens to align exactly to what my purpose is, then great. I'm sure that exists out there for some people, but for 99.9% of everybody, you either go create your own company and then you tell everybody else what their purpose is in that world. by you living your purpose, or you just check it at the door, and that's not right. We can do better, and that's what we're going to try to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think it can be a whole lot better, because you look at the impact of the domino effect and trickle effect that we're talking about. It's going to be a huge difference. So I mean, I think it deserves a shot.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna do this, man. So I think a beaver must dam. So if you ever hear us say a beaver must dam, a painter must paint, you know what we mean now.
Yes.
Let people live their damn purpose. And
yes.
Get out of the way, and not just get out of the way, but figure out how you can benefit from their living their purpose while you live your own purpose. I mean,
right.
It's all is good. So the question, if you're listening, are you first in your purpose on others, or helping them to amplify their own purpose? That's something to think about. And
another question is, do you have a purpose? Do you know your purpose?
Right. Yeah, we'll get to that later on, I'm sure. But yeah, that's another great. That's the most important question, right? But yeah, thanks for listening in, and we look forward to
see you next time.
Conversation tomorrow. Yeah.
All right.